Boom. Intro music, all
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome back, guys. We are finally
We
back.
are back.
It's been a long
Time coming.
Welcome to This Guy, That Guy. This is Andrew over there, and I'm Steven.
Yes.
Or call me Stevie B, or call me Eric, whatever. It works out, dude. Dude, how long has it been since we recorded
Honestly,
anything?
I could probably tell you because I was looking at it, and it was, I believe, in 2019. So what is that? Almost 5 years.
Dude, that's a no way.
Yeah, dude, 5 years.
Dude, is it
At
really been
first,
that
I'm
long?
like 2019. That's probably what 2 or 3 years ago. Sounds about right. No, it's like 5 years.
Well, the whole COVID thing freaking just
Right.
wiped out 2 years of our lives.
Totally.
So, like, dude, I guess can't say that word. Trying to demonetize us. You
Yeah.
know. But dang, it's
It
really
has.
been that long. I actually didn't really look into that. I should have looked. That hasn't been that long. I could look right now. I can't look at my phone because we're doing FaceTime, and actually we have a setup now. So you can see our setups. Andrew over there, he's got his mic right there, and then I'm set up in the garage. The original plan was actually for me to be set up in the backyard, which a much better feng shui or vibes or aura or chi or whatever people want to call it nowadays. But I'm set up back here or in the garage because it's kind of cold outside. So, and it's dark now. So the next time you have us recording, my background is actually gonna be different. Like, it's gonna
All
be
right.
a lot nicer.
Cool. And let's
Hopefully.
hope that my background.
Well, maybe sunny.
Yeah, let's hope my background's a little better too. But that's all right. This is kind of the pilot to the pilot because we're back. Happy to be here. Something that I think we forgot to mention, just really quick. You guys are probably wondering, wait, I thought your name was John. Oh no, wait, you're Eric. John and Eric. What? Why are you calling them Steven and Andrew?
Well, they're both
technically.
true.
So I guess we'll just disclose a little bit. So John is actually my middle name. My real name is Andrew, and Steven is actually his real name, but his middle name is Eric. So we thought, oh, why not go with our middle names and whatever, maybe it'll be a big surprise later. But we decided, to as we're coming back, just start fresh, use our names, less confusing that way. And would be more personal with you guys. So yeah, that's the story.
Exactly.
Nothing crazy, but there you go.
The rumor has it, we might end up in the
Ooh.
same city
Yes.
within a year. So you might see us in like the same
Right.
camera shot
Yeah.
as well. And just sitting across each other or whatever, typical podcast show. Whatever.
Definitely a big possibility.
Plus us introducing video and also big plans, hopefully, for the channel.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Dude, I'm
What do you
I'm
think?
excited.
I'm excited.
We just had, before we started recording, like an hour-long chat about kind of the plan or the direction of, how this will go. And, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes. And I'm really excited for you guys to check it out. And, hear soon to hear your thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. So cool.
Yeah, so going on that, like, you'd be able to, like, send an email. Or maybe we come up with a phone number, people can leave a voicemail.
Yeah, a little
angry
Google voice.
voicemails. Yeah. Or YouTube comments, now, because we weren't on YouTube before. We were on everything else but YouTube. And then now we're finally on YouTube. The whole point with that in the beginning was because we were only audio, because then it makes a lot of sense to be on YouTube, but we probably should do it anyway. That was probably my fault, but
yeah, blame him. Blame Steven.
we're coming back now. We're gonna have video.
It's all his fault.
God, it's Eric's fault.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, screw that Eric guy.
Shit. All right, dude. So what do we got?
All right, so
We're going to kick off with this guy, that guy.
That guy. Little
Sports
pilot
talk.
run, like I said. But we have a little overview or agenda that we're going to talk about. So, yeah, we kind of already. So, the first thing was the overview kind of slash rebranding. And, a little bit of, what's happened or why, we haven't recorded. And, anyways, so yeah, we got that kind of out of the way. We're back. I'm happy we're back. And then we got first, we're going to start off with Michigan versus Alabama. And I'm going to disclose something right now, just so everyone knows. Steven and I are not big college guys. Not at all.
We
We
know
know
people that
people
are,
that
though.
are.
We
That
know
might be
people
coming
that are.
soon.
We probably should brought them
Probably.
on for this, but they didn't even know we started recording again. So, yeah. They're kind of listening to the old recording right now. But anyway,
Anyways,
continue
yeah, but
with our
total
yeah,
unknown
we
knowledge.
have a little
we have
bit,
some knowledge.
yeah. So we're gonna,
But compared to like someone that
Right.
loves college, we have zero knowledge. I have zero knowledge.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like compare my
Right.
NFL knowledge to my college knowledge.
yeah.
I know nothing about college.
And yeah, I know very little, but I'm diving into it, and if that's something you guys would like to kind of see us immerse ourselves more in, we could totally, catch up and stuff like that. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about Michigan versus Alabama, how that game went, to the best of our ability, and then yeah, we'll preview the finals, Michigan versus Washington, and that is happening next week on Monday, the 8th, I want to say. Anyways, something like that. Whatever that Monday is of next week. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Jim Harbaugh. And that'll lead us into our last topic of the night, which is going to be the state of the NFL. And something I could say, pretty confidently. Obviously, we're not like super experts, but Steven and I know a lot more about the NFL than college. So if you didn't like that segment, just skip to the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot more entertaining going to NFL.
Might as well just skip to the
But-
end if you don't want to hear too.
It's a pretty big game coming up. We gotta talk about college.
Right.
It's like
How can you not? It's like March Madness. Like, we follow the NBA way more. I know for a fact myself, NBA, I only started following because all of a sudden the Aztecs were in it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, whatever. Cool. Start watching them, but they're all one and downs anyway, but try not to talk about that.
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, we're just like Andrew said, our knowledge is in the pro leagues.
Yes, our knowledge is in the pro league. So hoping that we'd be able to give you guys a little bit more insight. A little bit more. Just some information, and yeah, it's really cool. Oh yeah, we have a guest already on the show. You can't see it, but
Who's that?
we got
Which
Felix
meow meows is
on the
that?
bed. You guys can probably see it.
Felix! Oh, I can't
Yeah.
hear us.
Anyways, he's over there. Say hi. So we got a guest already over there. So yeah. Anyways, so but yeah, so I'm confident. When we're talking about the pro leagues, Steven has referee experience. He's been around sports his whole life. I have refereeing, coaching, experience. Been around sports my whole life, and also psychology. So we can give you guys a little bit more insight that maybe not the experts can give us.
Oh yeah, sports
yeah.
psychology. I'll tell you what's going on in your head right now. God damn.
But yeah, so all right. I think that kind of covers what we're going to talk about, and I guess let's get started. So let's start with Michigan versus Alabama. Steven, what do you think?
Dude. I mean, let me just say what everyone else was thinking when this game started. Before this game started, everyone thought that Michigan was going to lose. Not only because they're Michigan, but more importantly so, it's because the head coach, Jim Harbaugh. He's been known to get to the big games, right? But also not win them. Dude, even as a player, he went to the championship and he lost. So I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Once again, I don't know if I can call it a specialist, but I believe That was the last time Michigan went to the national championship is when Jim Harbaugh was
Wow.
there, and they lost horribly. So they're making it back, and before this game even started, most people, including myself, because you're like, well, Nick Saban, Alabama, he's the best coach there is. Even if you don't follow sports all that much, you should have heard of Nick Saban in Alabama, especially when it comes to college football. I mean, that's the most premier program in college football. So, just from the get-go, you would think Alabama would win. What do you think? Like they already had like everyone mentally ready. Like, okay, Alabama's going to
right.
win.
And I want to say, Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he's really turned that program around in Michigan. But you're right. I think I don't want to, viewers out there, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like maybe 3 times that Michigan made it to the semis, and they've fallen short in the Jim Harbaugh era, something like that. If I'm wrong, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, he kind of does. He gets to that stage, but it's been a little hard for him to deliver, right? And it's not easy to get there. Obviously, we know only 4 teams can make it to like the college playoffs, and it used to be 2. Thank God they changed that to 4. But anyways, yeah. So a lot of people were probably thinking Alabama was going to win. Obviously, except for probably the Michigan fans, and rightfully so. You support your team, you're gonna, make it happen. Believe that they're going to win, right? But anyways, yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, final score for those that are not really into college, kind of like us, just to kind of give you the stats. Final score was 27-20, Michigan over Alabama, and yeah, it needed overtime, so the game went to overtime. Michigan started with the ball; they scored first. Alabama had the ball second. They got all the way to the goal line, 4th down, but they just couldn't convert, and that's the ball game right there.
Dude, especially how it ended.
Yes.
So to be there in person, I wish we had this person here. Actually, both people here.
Yes, exactly.
Daniel, David,
Yeah.
shout out to you guys who went to the Rose Bowl and had the pleasure of being there. What side were they going for?
Oh, they are
before I dive
diehard
into
Alabama fans. Just Alabama everything.
Oh, even better. It would have been better for us to be there because us both being not huge college sports fans, even though when the draft comes around, it's like, oh my God, let's start looking into all the highlights.
Yeah.
But to see their heart probably just ripped out because they're like, yeah, Alabama, just like I said earlier, everyone's thinking they're going to win. Nick Saban's going to win another one, yada, yada, and keep cementing his legacy, even though with this loss, it doesn't change. Everyone knows he's number 1. And with that being said, with them being there, to end it in overtime, and way it ended, because what's that quarterback?
Jalen Milroe is the name.
Milroe?
Yeah.
So, Jalen Milroe, who seems like both quarterbacks are kind of more of a running style a little bit. You know what I mean? They lean towards running versus passing. So, him holding the ball and then going for it on
so it was 4th and goal on the 3-yard line. And just to the viewers that don't know, really quickly, what happened was it was a direct snap to the quarterback, and he was running it up the middle. I believe he was supposed to go to the left. Anyways, I'm not an expert, but if you've seen it, you already know. But he was, to those that haven't seen it, he was running. He got stuffed. He tripped, and on his guy. Anyways,
every gap was filled in by Michigan. They knew he was going to run it. I mean, they've been running it all game, and then for them to go ahead and pull that stunt, I would have passed it personally. But then again, it's like, well, let's say you pass it and it gets intercepted or horrible pass or whatever, right? It gets batted down. Then it goes back to like, well, they should have ran it. That's what they've been doing all year, and they're successful with it. So, I respect that. I respect that they just decided, you know what? We're going to go with our strength. We've been running it, and we're going to run it on 4th and goal and get stuffed.
And Steven,
and he wasn't even close to the goal line.
yeah,
He wasn't even
yeah,
close.
he wasn't. And Steven, to add to your point, actually, I was talking to David, big Alabama guy, and he actually had a really,
Yeah.
really good alternative to that play. Obviously, now in hindsight, obviously you should have done this or that, right? Well, who are we to say at the time it wasn't the right play call? But really, what it should have been is an option, right? So, it could start as
Yeah,
right.
do a read option.
It could start as a run, and he could kick out or drive out to the left or right, and then he can either run it in, or if someone's open, he just throws it there. And at least that way, his options were open. It wasn't just all for the run, right? All we all we know, because all we know is Michigan could have been selling out for the run, which they probably did. So yeah, if you had that option to pass it, even if it's just one or two looks, that could have been the difference right there. We could have a tie ball game. Michigan has all the pressure back on them, and they'd have to score again or whatever it is. And things could have ended very differently, but it didn't. So that's kind of where we are at.
Definitely, dude. And then looking back at the box score right now, I just wanted to see how much passing and how much rushing there really was, because when Harbaugh was with the Niners, me being a Niner fan, so I know a little bit about Harbaugh and also him being in California over at San Diego and along with Stanford. Once again, don't follow college all that often, but I have followed Jim Harbaugh a little bit. So that being said, he's always been heavy running. And you ask anybody that knows anything about Jim Harbaugh, he loves running the ball. So I was looking right now, it looks like it was a relatively balanced attack. Obviously more runs than passes, but not by much. It's pretty much even. If you look at it, he 27 throwing attempts to 32 carries by the whole team. So relatively balanced. Obviously Alabama, 23 attempts to throw and then 43 runs. So for them to sell out to the run, I mean, it's just odds. You just know more likely than not they're going to run it. And that's what Saban's always been known for, a good running game, right? But so has Harbaugh. But in this game, it seems like a super balanced attack. J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback for Michigan, having 17 of 27 and 221, yards and 3 TDs. He took care of the ball. Yeah. There's no fumbles, no interceptions, right? I mean, I can double check on the fumbles here. Let's see if JJ fumbled anything. He didn't. His one of his other teammates did. There were 3 fumbles.
Special teams for Michigan was bad, very bad.
Yeah, see, that's another thing that, the Niners weren't the greatest at special team either. So it seems to follow. And then the funny thing is, quick sidebar, right? Ronnie Bell, I believe, is from Michigan. He came from under Harbaugh. He was on special teams this last week. And he was kind of horrible, since our main guy went down, McLeod. But anyway, he came from Michigan, and it's funny that we talk about how Michigan or Jim Harbaugh's special teams are kind of junk, especially since his brother was a goddamn fucking special teams coach back in the day. John Harbaugh was. So for that to even happen, you would think that Jim would have this, wealth of knowledge coming from his brother being a spectacular special teams coach. And if you ever look at the Ravens, they don't make mistakes. And that's the whole point of special teams. They're never supposed to be scoring, right? Obviously, if they can run back a TD on a kickoff, hell yeah. But the whole point is, don't be noticed, essentially, right? Don't make any mistakes. And you have a pretty decent special teams. So that's funny that sticks with Jim Harbaugh. Yeah. And obviously, we didn't even talk about how Alabama's in this game, right? And then wasn't the Florida Gators, weren't they undefeated or something? But obviously everyone wanted to see Alabama, right, when they had the better.
So quickly, just a quick side note on that. Obviously, a lot of my information comes from a source named David, my friend. Anyways, but yes,
source.
Florida State went undefeated. The thing is, their star quarterback, I don't even know his name, I apologize, he got hurt. So Florida State, although they were undefeated, the decision makers at that collegiate level, they probably thought, you know, better to have Alabama in than Florida State because their quarterback got hurt and they're just not the same team without him. And you can kind of tell they got destroyed by Georgia in the bowl. I believe it was a bowl game. Of course, not a lot of information for college, but they got destroyed like 60 to something. Anyways, so yes. So
Jesus.
for all the Florida State fans that were saying, "Oh, see, we could have probably beat Alabama," I'm not sure about that. Alabama, it was a close game. You know, we didn't know who was going to win it. I think ultimately, sorry again for the Florida State fans. Ultimately, the right team was there. Um, you know, and if you want to argue another team should have been there, probably Georgia, right? But the thing is, Georgia had a bad loss to Alabama like the second or last week of the collegiate season. So that really hindered their chances.
It probably would have been
Oh,
them if
yeah.
they had
They would
won
have
that
been
game.
in
And then still Florida would still be
outside looking
looking
in.
on the outside in, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, wow, look at that. We know more about college than we thought.
Well, I mean, I guess it helps that Jim
Right.
Harbaugh there,
Yeah.
and got a couple little
Yeah.
tidbits, and then we also have a couple of
Sources,
people that actually went
yeah, we're
there.
good.
They got sources. So.
Yeah. And something I want to just speak to really quickly, Stephen, is
Oh, hold on.
yes.
If you bear with me
Yes.
and we're hitting that timer mark. I'm using the old camera,
Yes.
so I actually have to hit record again, just for the
Yes.
viewers. Andrew
Yes.
already knows.
Yes.
So if you could bear with me for less than 30
Yes.
seconds, I'll be right back. I gotta stop the recording and then hit record
All
again. It's
right,
fun
awesome.
stuff.
And I will talk for 30 seconds by myself. All right. So while he's setting that up, I guess I can just speak to that really quick. My source, right? David. So this quarterback, according to David, huge Alabama fan, he just, you know, he's just not he's not a quarterback that you can kind of rely on in the big moments. Just, after him watching all season, just, he just doesn't have it, right? And of course, like Steven was saying, Alabama is known for their running game, right? They haven't really had amazing quarterbacks. Obviously, recently they've had, Jalen Hurts and Tua, but normally their quarterbacks, they're not known for their quarterbacks. So Jalen Milrow, I hate to bag on him. He just unfortunately, just not that guy, right? And of course, Nick Saban is a legendary head coach, right? But he can only do so much, right? Sometimes talent, right, beats coaching. Obviously, coaching is a big part of it, but if you don't have the guy to really unlock the potential of your offense, then it's hard. I will say, kudos to Alabama. They got to the Final Four. They gave Michigan a run for their money with the talent they had. And yeah, one more thing I actually want to add to that. Last thing, really funny. Nick Saban in his press conference, of course, according to my sources, is that he said, and you take this as you will. Actually, I'm going to ask your thoughts on this. Are you back, Steven? Like you're good to go? All right. So I'll ask your thoughts on this comment because it's very interesting. But basically, it was along the lines in the press game, the post game conference. He basically said this is the most improved team that he's ever coached at Alabama. And take that what you will, right? I don't think Nick Saban was trying to be controversial or he's trying to hate on his team, but what do you think when he's saying that this is the most improved team from the beginning of the season till now? What does that tell you, Steven?
Well, that kind of tells me that he's essentially well, dude, we kind of we're barely scratching the surface. You're lucky that we didn't have more time to get even better, and then we probably would have beat your ass. That's what I'm
Right.
hearing.
And not only that, yeah, no, I agree. Not only that, he's also basically saying that basically his team wasn't, he's had better teams in the past, but his team was kind of so bad. Not that he's saying that. This is us just right, kind of reading between the lines that the team was so bad that they've made a big improvement. Like, oh, you were crawling, but at least you're running now. Good job, right?
Yeah,
So I think
kind of a
that's
backhanded
kind of
compliment for like, oh, good job, you guys beat
right.
us, but it's not even
Yeah.
my strongest team. If I had
Right.
another 5 weeks,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, man. Things would probably be a
I
little
know.
different.
And we know Alabama, right? And we know Alabama has had some like pretty great, amazing players. So yeah, I'm kind of interpreting it as they've come a long way, but the talent wasn't there. Tell me I'm wrong, take me for what it's worth, but that's just how I saw it and how I viewed it. But yeah. Anyways, so I'll kind of leave it at that. Um, Steven, any final thoughts on the Michigan versus Alabama game?
No, dude, like I said, it probably would have been a great game to be at. I'm jealous of the two that did go. Too bad they're Alabama fans.
Right.
Definitely would have been funner for Andrew and I to go with them
Oh
just
yeah.
to watch the
Right.
disheartening loss at the end. But that was a hell of a
Right.
game. Yeah, dude. And
Yeah.
then
And
go ahead.
yeah, go
Oh.
ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. Really quickly, I was looking, and Michigan was actually favored by 2 points that I was checking. So Michigan was actually favored by two. I know we said that Alabama were the favorites coming in, so I just wanted to correct that. It seems like Michigan were slight favorites. All right, sorry, Stephen. Go ahead, continue.
Well, I mean, just moving on to let's move on to kind of like the rumors, right? With Harbaugh winning,
Really
what's
quickly
that?
before we do that, there was one. We just need to really quickly touch on the preview of the finals of the college finals, and then we get to
Yeah, yeah,
hardball,
yeah, yeah,
or at least that's the
yeah,
order we
yeah.
had it. Yeah,
So
you knew that. Yeah.
with Harbaugh winning and then going into the finals, what's
Sorry, that's
oh
my
you're good,
bad.
dude. Going into the finals, if what are the chances? Do you have the odds up for what Michigan is versus Washington?
Yeah, I have the odds right here as of today, and this is provided by Bet MGM Sportsbook. So we know all sports books can be a little different, but the consensus is Michigan is a 4.5 point favorite over Washington. Um, so Michigan is and minus 190 on the money line. So basically, for those that are not really up to par with betting or whatever, that basically means you have to put $190 to win $100. And the Huskies, which is Washington, they are plus 155 money line. So basically, if you pick the Huskies, Washington Huskies, to win outright, they you'll win. You'll get a little bit more for your dollar. You'll get $1.50 for every dollar, if that makes sense. So if you put like, $50, you'll get $75 anyways. So yeah, those are the odds.
So
Oh, and sorry, the over under is set at 55 and a half. So meaning if the total is 55 and a half, or if it's 56, that's the over. Under 55, obviously anything under 56. So 55. All right, go ahead.
so going on top of what I said earlier with Jim Harbaugh, right? We were talking about how he likes to run. Well, Washington's like a pass happy team, right? So with them being a pass happy team and one being a pass or a rush heavy team, or it was relatively
Yeah.
balanced, but that leads the question. No matter how good this quarterback is for Washington, right? It could be Peyton Manning or whatever, right?
Right.
Whoever you want to put back there. Name your favorite goat and put him back there, right? The point is, if they don't have the ball, time of possession, they can't do anything. What are they going to do? You know what I mean? Because one's controlling the time of possession the entire time, slowing the game down, and less opportunities for the passing team, especially, let's say the Wolverines just get up by 7. That simple. And they just stay up by a touchdown every play. And wouldn't it be a shootout because it'd be like the slowest shootout in the world because one's just running the hell out of the ball, sucking the life out of the game, and relying on the
Right.
defense along with they can suck up like 8 minutes, dude, a quarter. Like 8 minutes. Like if you're the other team, you're so frustrated and you just want to, hit the ground running, run the score. But you're just like, okay, well, we'll better make sure keep marching down the field. And then with it being a pass every team, right? There's possibilities for interceptions or turnovers, right? Or batted balls or
Right.
Relying on the O line, right? Depending on what the pass rush is from the Wolverines. So that's just my thought initially going into this with Washington going against a Jim Harbaugh team which likes the run and then he likes the time of possession. So the Wolverines run of account on maybe turnovers, maybe from the special team side, right? So if they can get something going from other places, let's say nothing's happening on the defensive side or it's going exactly where it needs to be, they're going to wear down that defense too. The Wolverines are running, and you have to keep chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing. And by the fourth quarter, you're run down, dude. Like, so we'll see. As long as the Wolverines, if they can get up already and keep pounding the run and it's successful, Washington might have to sell out for the run to force these guys to pass. But Harbaugh is stubborn, and I've seen him in the Niners, and he'll still run like a 3rd and 12. And you're like, okay, that's going to be a pass. No, he runs it. And sometimes it pops off.
Right.
And most often not. It just ends up being a 4th and 2, and then he punts. But what are your thoughts on that?
I love everything you're saying, Steven. Something I want to add too is Michigan, their defense is for real, right? And we know that Washington has a good offense. Defense, it's a little questionable, right? So Michigan has a really good defense. And the quarterback that all our eyes are going to be on is obviously Washington's quarterback. His name is Michael Penix Jr. A lot of people thought maybe he should have won the Heisman. Really wonderful season that he had. I believe it was the LSU quarterback that won the Heisman. Anyways, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, a good amount of people thought he should have won the Heisman. He was playing great. And it's going to be a matchup. It's going to be Michael Penix Jr. versus Michigan, right? And for Washington to win, kind of like what you were saying, Steven, it kind of needs to be a shootout. But I feel like this quarterback for Washington, he has to be special. Not only special, he has to put up big numbers because if he's not having a great game, I don't see how they win. He has to have a great game to win because Washington's not built to manage a game to win like Michigan is, right? Michigan's quarterback could be struggling, right? But if their run game is going, their defense is going,
I hear, dude.
they'll be good to go. Yeah, yeah. Little cameo by dude.
Cameo
We hear his
Felix
voice.
now, dude. That's great. Someone's talking
That's
outside,
awesome.
so that's setting them off right
Oh,
now.
awesome. But yeah, so anyways, I think for Washington to come out on top, Michael Penix Jr. has to be special. And anything subpar, even a good performance, I don't think will be enough to get it done. But that's we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But Steven, my money is on Michigan. I think they're gonna win it. And I think they're going to win it by at least a touchdown, but obviously I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think just knowing the coach on one end, and he doesn't mind winning a grimy game. Like, it might be low scoring, really close game. It might be like maybe I don't know, it'd be low 20s at highest. For both teams.
Yeah.
So maybe let's see here. We do 21. That means 3 touchdowns. So I'm thinking even less than that. Maybe a couple of
Yeah.
It'd be more like a 20. So 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns by the Michigan Wolverines, and then the Washington coming in at 17. 2017. That's my bet.
So you're thinking it's going to be more of a close game. Okay, I like
Close,
that. I like that.
grimy, time of possession game.
Right. Yeah.
Washington will probably sell it to the run, and then Harbaugh
Right.
won't give up the run even if it keeps getting stuffed. He'll just get 2 yards at a time. The guy doesn't mind
Yeah.
doing field goals. He doesn't mind not being fancy. He doesn't
Right.
care about trick plays. The guy, I mean, he will do trick plays. But what I'm trying to say is he doesn't mind winning a hard, gritty game. And that's just who he is. Whereas the other side, them being more pass happy, which is fine. That's your offense, dude. Live and die by it. Just like Harbaugh's going to live and die by the run, right? Like Andrew was saying, it's going to have to be explosive plays. They'll have to get these 50-yard bombs, okay? But when you say 50-yard
Right.
bombs, that's not yak. That's the receiver going down the field and going through the full route. Now, the question is, okay, does the quarterback have time for a 5-step drop, a 7-step drop for those routes to develop? Or is he scrambling, trying to create something out of
Right.
nothing, which, once again, what Andrew said earlier, right? Be spectacular. So now you're scrambling and then having to throw this bomb on top of that, and hopefully the corner has been burnt, right? Or if he's scrambling,
Right.
most likely the receiver, right, depending on their drills, if the play is broken down, he's making his way back, and hopefully, let's say he burned his corner, right? And then he's making his way back. If he burned his corner, now the corner caught back up, and now they can meet up for the ball, right? So he get batted down or intercepted.
Right.
So hopefully the chemistry, if you're a Washington fan, you're going to want spectacular, like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase type of chemistry.
Right.
That type of chemistry.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to want. Or a Tua, Tyreek Hill type of chemistry. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
not as of late, but most of the time, a Kelsey, Mahomes type of chemistry. It's going to have to be that type of game, just like he said, spectacular. And it's not only on the quarterback; it's going to be on the wide receivers because this whole team is predicated on the pass. So they're going to have to kind of just pull it out their ass, and it's not going to be easy because you can get one off like that, right? Now, can I get another one off? Can I get another one off? Along with this team just sucking the life out of the clock on the other end. So even if I pop one off, now I'm just sitting on the bench getting cold, as a quarterback. Like, let's say I'm on a heater, and now I'm just, I got a text. Dude is barking at me because I'm talking in the garage. I'm probably have to bring him in here. But anyway, with
All right.
that being said, I mean, I'm with you. It's definitely going to be Harbaugh. Well, now he's looking at me. Now he stopped barking. What's up, dude? So, with that being said, it's going to be 20-17, Michigan. And it might be kind of a boring game for fans, honestly.
Well, Steven, I like your prediction, and I guess, I should give a prediction too for the score because, we're doing that. So I'm going to back up what I said. I'm going to take Michigan 25-17 over Washington. I think they win a game. It's not necessarily a blowout. I don't think it's close, though. I think Washington does what it can, but Michigan too strong, run game, defense too strong, too overpowering. They're going to win 25-17, 8-point lead. And Michigan's going to come out on top. So that's my prediction. All right. So are you ready to move on, Steven, to our next topic?
Dude. So right before we go into the NFL, I have to you take a piss break now. So if you want to continue talking, or if you need to go, we can both pause at the same time, or just keep it running, whatever.
Yeah.
I can do a little editing and cut it out.
I'll talk. I've been talking
All
a
right.
lot, so might as well keep
I'll
talking.
be right back, and
Sure.
then I'll reset my timer again. Are coming in?
Is it easier for you if I just
Yeah,
talk?
yeah, go for it. Doesn't matter. We'll figure
Okay.
it out.
Okay, I'll talk. So whatever. All right.
Yeah, you go ahead and start the next topic, and then I'll just roll right into it.
Okay, sounds good. Alrighty. So, I'm actually not going to start the next topic because I really want to hear his thoughts on it. Um, I'll give you guys a little preview though. So we're going to talk about Jim Harbaugh. You know, he win if he wins, loses the national championship. What's his next moves? And that'll jump into our NFL segment. But anyways, so yeah, I'll leave that at that. Um, yeah, and yeah, this is great. I love it. I love doing this. I love sports. Been in sports my whole life. Maybe you guys don't care. Maybe you do care, but um, I really think that what I can bring to the table for here is just my knowledge of sports from a perspective of a player. Because I did play basketball to some extent. I've played football, obviously not as much as I've played basketball, but I've played basketball. I've refereed. I've refereed soccer. I've coached basketball, and yeah, I am actually a counselor too. So something that I'm always, obviously counseling is a little different than sports, but I like to tie things in together. So when I'm as a counselor, or I guess if you want to call me a psychologist, right? I'm always thinking about what is the person thinking, you know? Let's say, I don't want to jump too far ahead into our topic of Jim Harbaugh, but a question we're going to ask is, what is he thinking regarding, going to the NFL? And is it better that if he wins or loses, and what's more likely going to take him to the NFL? Anyway, so that's just something I'm thinking, like, from his trying to think from his perspective. Obviously, I have never played in the pro leagues, right? I've been around it my whole life because I've watched it and just really dived into it. So I don't have direct experience. I don't have direct experience playing in the NFL or NBA. Don't have direct experience coaching in the NFL, NBA. But I think I can kind of bring that psychology aspect, that perception into it, and based on what I know, try to get an idea of maybe what he's thinking, right? So that's something that I would hope to bring to the table to you guys, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm excited. I really am. I'm really excited. So, Steven should be coming back any second now, and then we can kind of dive into this next exciting topic because I'm really looking forward
Jesus.
to discussing it. And I'm a Chargers fan, so you'll see. I'm going to be really excited to talk about this topic coming up. Hey, Steven, welcome back.
Yo, had to say a little good night,
Yeah,
take a piss, shut up, dude. Good to go.
nice. Sweet. So just to give you kind of just a little recap, I did a lot of talking, talking bad about you. No, just
What?
kidding. Hey,
This guy.
yeah. So I let them know. I actually didn't really dive into our next topic yet because I really want to hear your thoughts on this, but just kind of telling our viewers what I can bring to the table. You know, as someone experienced in sports, all aspects, coaching, refereeing, and then kind of utilizing that psychology piece into maybe what are players or coaches' mindsets. And anyways, the reason I bring that up is because I want to ask you a question. This is going to bring us into our next topic, and I really want you to think about this.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
I was, yeah, I was letting our viewers know I'm a Chargers fan, so I think those that kind of have been around the NFL or keep up with the NFL, they know where I'm going with this. And you obviously being a big Niners fan, you kind of Jim Harbaugh, right? So I want to ask you, to the best of your ability, first question I want to ask you, what do you think? Do you think his jump to the NFL has a higher chance if he wins the national championship or if he loses the national championship? And then maybe he just decides to stay either way. But tell me, what do you think? What is it, if he wins, that he's going to make that jump back to the NFL? Or is he going to feel compelled to try to run it back to back? Or if he loses, is he going to just say, you know what? I think it's time to go to the NFL. What are your thoughts on that? I'm really curious. And then I'll share my
I
thoughts.
think Jim Harbaugh, where he goes, has unfinished business already in the NFL, right? He's already made it to Super Bowl. But I
Right.
don't think he's going to leave college unless he wins it. So the chances of him leaving and coming back to the NFL, it's definitely hinders on him winning the championship. So he wins. He he got his piece, dude. He like that's it. Like he can stay, but I see it's a lot easier for him to leave. He's already been suspended twice by the NCAA. All right, so him
Right.
winning it all this year, I just essentially going out on a bang. Like I won it all. I get to leave now. I already won. That's it. Now let me go get the Super Bowl. You know, I've already done it before. I've already got there.
Yeah.
I can get there again. And he's young enough to be in the NFL for 10 years and finally get that Super Bowl. You know, whatever team he ends up going to, if they give him enough time. I mean, obviously, look at what he did in Michigan. They were an okay program. I mean, they were good, but it was more the name than anything before he got there again, right? Like people always thought, oh, Michigan's good, but no one ever thought about like Alabama, Ohio, or you know, or even the level of like Urban Myers, whatever you think of that guy, right? And when he was on the Gators or whatever team he ended up going to, right? Once Harbaugh got there, that program turned around. He recruited and did what he had to do. I mean, even if you look at the NFL, right? If you ain't, what's the saying? You ain't trying if you ain't cheating. So, I mean, him recording people for
Right.
signals and whatever, who cares? They're
Yeah.
all doing it. I mean, the same as everyone doping the
Yeah.
UFC.
That's true.
I don't know if they do it now, but back in the day,
Yeah.
MLB,
Steroids was huge in MLB,
Tour
right?
de
Yeah.
France, whatever, right? Everyone was on the same
Yeah.
level, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what if one person got caught. Like they're all doing it, so it's an even playing field. So what I was trying to say is Harbaugh got caught, but he got caught. Other people were still doing it,
All right.
so they might have stopped now because he got caught, right? Because now it's on the national stage. But
Yeah.
long answer short, right? He leaves if he wins.
Yeah.
That's simple. And then you'd be like, okay, well, where he's going to go if he wins, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so I will share what I think. I'm just going to give my thoughts too, and I think you're spot on. Honestly, um, before the Alabama Michigan game, the way I saw it was if he lost, he's more likely going to go to the NFL just because, semifinals, he kind of can't get over the hump, like you were saying. I think he kind of, not that he necessarily gives up, but he kind of makes the jump to the NFL, especially if it's something that's maybe, too good to pass up. So I thought if he lost to Alabama, he would more likely than not leave. But, that's just speculation on my part. Now, because the question was asked what now in the finals, and now I think it's a different ball game in the finals, meaning that if he loses, I'm 100% agreeing with Steven. He's going to stay. It's in his nature. It's unfinished business. He wants to win that national championship. He will give it another year. The only counter to that is if there is a team in the NFL that basically gives him everything he wants, right? Everything he wants, a high salary, an amazing quarterback, or just in general, like, giving him the
Control.
power to kind of control. Right. If something is too good to pass up, I think he takes it. Right. And I understand he has his competitive spirit, right? He wants to win it, right? He wants to win it all. But I think if the situation is really good and it's too tempting, you can't pass it up. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, that's my thoughts, right? So that's the only counter to him not staying. On the other hand, if they win it, yes, I think, he's had kind of the scandals in the college, but he can kind of put that behind him. He won a national championship. He turned that team around. Anywhere he goes, he turns the teams around. So, yeah, he wins it. I think he has a higher chance to leave, right? And yeah, and then your question about where he may go. Well, obviously, I'm a big Chargers fan, as I told you guys. He's going to the Chargers, right? He's going to the Chargers. You have, he's been with that organization before. No, don't listen to him. He's been in that organization before as a player, I believe, or whatever, coach. I'm not really sure. Anyways, he loves Justin Herbert. He's been quoted saying that he loves Justin Herbert. Um, I think he can really unlock his potential, right? Because Justin Herbert's this really talented quarterback, a lot of potential, just has always been kind of dragged down by the team. I think the ownership, according to recent rumors and kind of, I wouldn't say speculation because a lot of these are coming from back sources, Steven, is that the owners are tired of being the cheap LA Chargers team. Oh, they don't spend money on players. They don't spend money on coaches. They're very cheap, which rightfully so. They deserve that label. They have been cheap. They've been cheap when it comes to stadium, building a stadium. They've been cheap um, with their coaches. They were, hiring coaches that frankly have no coaching experience, right? Most recent is Brandon Staley. I'll leave that for a topic for another day. And the coach before, I'm blanking on his name right now. He didn't really have any coaching experience. But anyways, so I think they're ready to change the narrative. And this could be a Chargers fan being wishful thinking, hopeful thinking, but it just seems like the stars are aligning in LA for Jim Harbaugh to be their next head coach. Um, I don't want to, of course, speculate too much further, but that's where I'm thinking it puts him in the best situation to kind of build that program up, or team, will I say? And yeah, and I think the owners are ready to give him that power, and I think he likes that. And from my perspective, give him the power. I mean, you've already showed you're an incompetent organization. You've never won a Super Bowl. You've had really good teams, a lot of talent, a lot of expectations, and you've always fell. You've always fallen. So why not give Jim Harbaugh the power? Let him come take over. Let him build I want to say program, right? Because program sounds like a college team when I say program, but it's true. Build the foundation, build that environment up, turn that team around, and then you know if you win there, man, like, you are a legendary, you are one of the best coaches of all time. You've literally taken an organization that has been trash ever since I've known them, just whether it's falling short, choking big leads, whatever it is, right? You've taken an organization and you've literally turned them around. That would be one of the greatest accomplishments, at least I've ever seen, for a head coach in the NFL. Rant over. Steven, take it away.
All right. So I totally agree that Jim Harbaugh would definitely change the Chargers, right? They turn it around. The problem is, are they willing to pay him? Are they willing to let him choose the GM, essentially? Right?
According to sources, but you're right. I mean, it just comes down to it. Are they? I mean, the
They're,
sources can say whatever they want. It's up to them.
so there is a team out there willing to give all the power. Willing. They've shown history to give all the money. Willing to let him choose whoever and whatever he wants. Where they have in the past for two other coaches, actually.
I think I know where you're going with this.
You know what's funny? That same team is in the same division. And it's the Las Vegas Raiders. They have a history. There's a connection back to Harbaugh. And yes, they are missing a quarterback. But You're talking about a guy that gave another coach, what John Gruden, $100 million, $10 million a year. And the Spanos family just paid Brandon Staley. Guess how much a year?
How much?
$4 million a year.
$4 million. Wow.
So, yes, that's a lot of money too. You and I, before NFL coach, they ain't shit. Guess how much Vic Fangio makes as a coordinator?
How much?
He makes $5 million.
$5 million. Wow.
He's not a head coach. He's
Wow.
a premier defensive coordinator. Can you imagine? You're a head coach of a whole goddamn team. You're making $4 million compared to somebody else, and he's a damn coordinator.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Crazy.
So, and then the Spanos being talked about being so cheap, yada yada. Well, I mean, they are. I mean, they're complaining about, like, I'll have to look for the source, but I'm pretty sure they were complaining. Like, they weren't complaining, but they were stating, like, hey, well, we paid our quarterback. Well, no shit. Everyone in the NFL pays their quarterback. Everyone has a salary. You have to spend that money. You're stating the obvious. So, and then they didn't want to let go of Staley because obviously, when a team lets go of a coach, unlike a player, you owe them all that money, whatever, how many more years down the road. So that's what's crazy about the Raiders. They've done it twice. Obviously, with Gruden, they probably came to a settlement, right? Because of how he exited the NFL, right? We won't go into that. It's a whole
Another topic for another
whole
day.
podcast for its own self.
Right.
Yeah. Then the next coach, Josh McDaniels, he just fired that guy, and he also gave him the keys to the kingdom, right? Because Mark Davis, yes, as weird as he is, as weird as he has a haircut, as even
It's crazy.
compared to other owners, as broke as he is compared to other owners, right? Compared to other owners, he's a very, very rich, wealthy man, right? Because he's the owner of the Raiders. But compared to other owners, he doesn't make that much money. His wealth comes from the team, whereas other owners, their wealth comes from outside the team. Businesses, corporations, investments, yada, yada, right? And this man is willing to pay and give control. So I think the Raiders will be front runner. And yes, it'd be stupid if the Chargers do not pursue Jerome Harbaugh and hard. Like they've never shown to turn a leaf, right? They never shown to do something they're not. I mean, they had a chance at Sean Payton. They could have fired Staley for Sean Payton, right? And obviously in the beginning of the Broncos, same team in the goddamn same division, right?
Right.
That's crazy. That they could have chased him and paid him. Obviously, they would have paid heavy too. Just like they would going to have to pay heavy for Harbaugh if they want him. So maybe by them not paying Sean Payton and not chasing after Sean Payton, and also Sean Payton showing by the end of the season, I mean, it looked ugly in the beginning. It looked uglier than Hackett freaking running that team, right?
Oh, yeah.
By them missing out on Sean Payton and showing that he actually is a good coach, right, by the end of it, no matter how you take Sean Payton with him and his whole personality and going after Russ, but that's a whole nother thing, right? The point is, the guy can coach, right? And he's an offensive mind, and thereby you don't have to worry about your offensive coordinator being poached, right? Because he is the offensive coordinator, right? Much like Kyle Shanahan is, and what's the coach of the Bengals and the Browns? All those guys, right? They're head coaches that aren't going anywhere because they're already a head coach. So it'd be beneficial if the Chargers changed their attitude and stopped being second fiddle to the LA Rams and sucked it up, because guess what? That market is still open for the Chargers. They can take LA if they wanted to. That's why the Rams, the ownership of the Rams, went so hard and gave whatever it took to buy a championship, right? And rightfully so. If I were them, I'd do it again too, right?
Yeah.
They're back in the playoff picture right now. Not that they're going to, I mean, most likely not. They're not going to win a chip, right, this year.
Yeah.
But they're relevant right now. Again, when we all thought they probably wouldn't make the playoffs this year, right? So the LA market, I mean, the correct team to go to LA was the Raiders. Let's just be honest, right? I'm a Niner fan. They have so many goddamn LA fans.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's not them, unrealistic as this would be, it'd be the Cowboys, right? That'd be like the other team that has the LA market too. Tons of Cowboy fans, right? I mean, they have the same goddamn colors as the Dodgers. But that could have been a Raider city right there. But since it's the Rams, yes, the Rams were there once upon a time. And now the Chargers, right, being a new team in the area.
Right.
They can take that city. They have a better chance of taking that city than the Clippers ever will in the NBA, right?
Oh, I'm thinking the same thing as you. The Lakers will never lose control of LA to the Clippers, no matter what. But the difference is the Rams can definitely lose it to the Chargers. So what you're saying is, yeah, the Rams own it right now, but it's not like, it's not like Dodgers, Anaheim, right? Or it's not like Lakers and Clippers. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's up for the taking if they want it, and thereby more money, right? The thing is, like, we can talk about this all day, right? With the Spanos and them being second fiddle, right? Because even, let's say they become the winning team in the market, they still don't have their own stadium. That's the Rams stadium. Yeah, and Rams ownership takes the money for all the vendors, takes the money for all that, and then also divvies it up to the city, right? Whatever contract they got with them. And the Chargers are just renters. That's it.
Yeah.
But it all starts with winning, right? If they were to start winning, that might change how the Spanos look at the team, right? And they might start investing more money to gain more money. So more jerseys, more fans. You keep a steady flow of good players coming in, thereby kids, right? They're growing up like, oh, what? I'm a LA Chargers fan now. Justin Herbert or whatever new wide receivers they get, running backs or some, like, let's say they get a super good edge rusher. Besides Bosa, get another one. The opportunity's there. So they want it. They're going to have to overpay for Harbaugh. And that means overpaying past the Raiders. And the likelihood of that, I'm all for it. I'm down for it, dude. I like to see the Chargers win. Last time I remember them doing anything was with Phillip Rivers, and that was before Norv Turner was the damn coach there.
Yeah.
Dude, that's forever ago. Forever ago. And then they went to the playoffs, right? One season with Norv Turner, and then it tanked after that. So, yeah, I'm sure Charger fans, the few that are out there, can talk all day about that stuff. It's always the same thing over and over, and there's one consistent thing. It's the Spanos family, as of late, right? They didn't always own it, but they got the team now, and they're known to be cheap right now. So hopefully they change. Like I said, though, you're going to have to overpay past Mark Davis, who, like I said again, is not the wealthiest owner. Far from it in the NFL, but he's willing to pay. So, and he wants to win in Vegas. That whole team is his dad's legacy. And he's willing to do anything. So, I think it's Raiders. Unless the Chargers overpay and go past the Raiders price. And that Raiders price is probably almost $10 million a year, if not $10 million a year. That's it. They're paying $4 million right now for Brandon Staley. So they're going to pay probably $12 to $15 million for Jim Harbaugh. Plus, how many more years? Brandon Staley's got another year. So they're going to have to swallow the extra $4 million. I know they're freaking like, what the fuck? Why the hell am I going to pay 4 mil plus 12 mil? So I'm paying 16 mil for just one coach. That doesn't include the staff that he has to bring with him, because you have to give him the green light to bring in anybody, and essentially give him the green light to, like, hey, my guy needs to be paid more than this guy on this other team or comparable. So, and then the next question, it's like, well, is he going to bring Greg Roman back? I don't know. That's another episode. Anyway, let's let him get to the Chargers first, or whatever team he goes to.
Right.
And then figure out what his coaching staff would be going forward. But I don't know, dude. It's tough being a Chargers fan, that's for sure. Especially with a good quarterback. That's what the sad part is.
Wasted potential. Yeah, well said, Steven. I think you covered the bulk of that. I'm not going to add too much more. I will say the sources that I'm hearing, that everyone's kind of hearing right now, not that I have, individual specific sources, just what we're hearing on the mainstream, right, is that the Spanos family is ready to pay, ready to overpay if need be. Anyways, take that with a grain of salt. That's what I'm hearing, right? We don't know it till we see it. But yeah, right now I like everything that I'm hearing. It's sounding good. Everything that I'm hearing. Now we'll see after the championship of college, and then we'll go from there. But I'm hearing the right things. We just got to see if they can walk the walk.
So would you take, quick side note, I know it wasn't part of the plan, would you take Bill Belichick if Harbaugh gets sucked up by the Raiders or doesn't come to the NFL?
Absolutely.
Dang.
And we can talk more about it another time. Yes, Bill Belichick is old. Yes, he's he has a certain personality, kind of the Spurs-esque, Greg Popovich, kind of dead, right? But he has results. He's a big name. He gets results. If Jim Harbaugh's not there, he goes back to Michigan. Absolutely get Bill Belichick. And I don't care if he only has 3 to 5 years left in his life. Take him, right? You're the Chargers. You've never been relevant in your life. It's time for a change. Do what must be done. If it's Bill Belichick, if he's the consolation or the, whatever the lack of a better word, right? Like the fall guy term or prize, then take him all day. Jim Harbaugh's gone. The next person you're calling, Belichick. Anyways, I want to leave it at that.
Yeah, quit acting like an expansion team, okay?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Steven. So, do you want to go into the state of the NFL in terms of? Yeah. Okay. All right. So our last topic, we kind of spent a big chunk on Jim Harbaugh, but rightfully so. I think that's kind of one of the bigger sports headlines, and obviously what's going on there in Michigan and his ties to the NFL. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the state of the NFL. And I'll be honest, we didn't really prep a lot about this beforehand, but I think we kind of know where we want to go if we keep up with everything. But yeah, Steven, start us off. State of the NFL. What do we mean by that? And what controversy are we talking about probably?
All right. State of the NFL. Obviously, where it's going, where it's headed, and everything like that. Concerning playoffs. We're not going to talk about the whole state of the NFL, correct? But the state of the NFL concerning playoffs, because that's what we all care about. Because only one.
Playoffs. Okay, cool. I was thinking you were going to go somewhere in a different direction. Referees, if you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that does conflict with playoffs, though. So, I mean, everyone thinks of the Lions game and whatnot, right? There was one other game that one kind of took the whole thing. Obviously, the Chiefs, right? But that was on the Chiefs. I guess you don't ask Chiefs fans that, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, I mean, the guy was offsides. Anyway, so concerning the state of the NFL, concerning, using concerning a million times to the playoffs, all right? Because that's what we all care about once again, right? What teams are going to make it, what teams are in the hunt, what teams have a chance. We're going to we'll probably talk about some people that probably wouldn't expect us to talk about. I mean, why do we have to talk about the ones that are already clinched, right? We don't need to talk about them that much. They're already in mainstream. They're talked about every day. Uh, what I'd like to talk about is like those weird, like the Texans, dude. I wouldn't mind talking about them, honestly. Even the Colts, like that's like those are like teams that yeah they get some love. The Texans are getting some love. The Colts only because of Pat McAfee, right? They're getting love, but other than that, no one else is talking about them. Along with the Browns are actually coming on strong as well, surprisingly, right? With
Nobody wants
Joe
to see
Flacco,
them
I
in
was
the
about to call him Jim
playoffs.
Flacco. Joe Flacco, uh, with a nasty, nasty defense that killed my team in a nice rainy game. I mean, granted, hold on real quick, sidebar. Purdy did march him down the field and gave him a chance for a game-winning field goal.
Moody.
So our rookie kicker fucked up. Anyway, since then he's been doing a lot better. Other teams talking about, I mean, Jags, Titans, man. I'm just looking at the schedule right now for next week. We don't really have to care about the state of NFL when it comes to Aaron Rodgers right now. I think that's like a next season thing, honestly. The
Yeah.
guy's not going to come back this year. Yes, he's active. Blah, blah, blah. He's not coming back. Let's just be real. He made leaps and bounds. Everyone knows that. To try to come back. Obviously, if they were in the playoff picture, yeah, we'd probably talk about it. But anyway, moving on from that. The NFC South, it's a wreck. You know, like I don't know, a couple of garbage teams coming out of that. Whatever. I mean, the Bucks like have a solid team. I mean, it's more or less if you believe in Baker Mayfield. I believe he can get one win, playoff wise. Honestly, will he? Probably not. But I wouldn't be surprised they get past the first round. Yeah. Uh, Another thing would be we're not, you know, everyone's been talking about the Eagles, yada yada, how they've been kind of just on a
Free falling.
downhill, yeah, free falling spiral right now. I mean, they had control of the first seed, yada yada. We can kind of dive into that a little bit. I mean, they are one of the premier teams everyone talks about, so I don't want to talk about them too much. We don't. I mean, obviously, if we want viewers, we'll talk about the most popular teams: Cowboys, Eagles, Niners. Obviously the Chiefs. Like stuff like that. But, let's give some love out there, like a C.J. Stroud. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So pick a team or pick a topic, and we'll dive right in.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's go with the Texans, dude.
All
Like
right.
them facing the
Texans.
Colts right now. Them having a great quarterback in C.J. Stroud that a lot of people I feel like thought he'd be pretty good, right? But they didn't think he was going to be this good.
No, not at all.
What are your thoughts on the Texans right now? They're kind of a dark horse going into because everyone's just like, oh, they're playing with house money essentially, right?
Right.
But I think they're a little more dangerous than that. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts?
So yeah, the Texans. I'm looking right now. Don't quote me. I think they're on the outside looking in. Like, I think if they win, they may be in, or they need a little bit of help to get there. But they have been one of the most surprising teams in the NFL, because you think what they had the second overall pick, right? A rebuilding team. Obviously, they haven't been good in a while, right? Yeah, you wouldn't think that they're kind of right there in that thick of the playoff race, right? So just for our viewers out there, just to kind of share, they're obviously in the AFC South, three-way tie, 9-7. The Jags, which everyone thought was going to be better, they're a little bit, they're in a slump a little bit. Trevor Lawrence can't quite stay healthy, right? So they're 9-7. Colts 9-7, which honestly, with their quarterback getting hurt in the beginning of the season, Anthony Richardson, they've been kind of overperforming. And then you have the Texans, right? The Texans. The Texans. Almost as bad as the Chargers, right? So they are the second fiddle, right, in Texas. I'm not going to say worse because no one's worse than the Chargers, but that's just me. Anyways, you know, second fiddle, there's Dallas, right? And they had the second pick in the draft. Normally, when you have a high draft pick, that means what? You're losing, right? So you're losing, you're not good. The whole Deshaun Watson situation, you're trying to get rid of that, trying to change that whole perception, right? Because of that whole scandal and controversy. We're not, that also could be a topic for another day, another week. Anyways, you're trying to get
Yeah,
out of
maybe when
that
he's back.
image. You've never, yeah, maybe when he's back, whenever that could be. But yeah, you're trying to rebrand, retool, and yeah, it's working. I mean, CJ Stroud, who would have thought, right? He's just been. I mean, we knew he was going to be good, but I don't think we knew he was going to be this good. And I think part of the kind of part of the help, which is always nice for a quarterback to have, is he's had really solid receivers, right? Um, Nico Collins, he's been, a great story. Um, Noah Brown, also a really good receiver. And then Tank Dell before he got hurt. I'm not really sure. I haven't kept up too much with, the Texans recently, but I know Tank Dell, he's been a really good receiver. Yeah, they have pieces around him, and I think that helps him. And I'm not saying that these receivers are carrying him to his whatever his stats. No, 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 no. He's definitely legit.
Yeah, he's the
Like he
guy.
has that potential. He's shown it. He's the guy, right? No question about that. If you look at a team, just to compare, like let's compare their, the team that drafted above them, the Carolina Panthers, right? They got Bryce Young, number one overall. So they picked him over Stroud because why? They probably thought he's a better quarterback or he's going to be better. What pieces do they have around him, right? What are the pieces that Bryce Young has? And I'm not trying to say that Bryce Young is this amazing, godsend quarterback, right? He may be, he may not be. Who do they have? I know they are a receiver. They have Adam Thielen. To be honest, I couldn't tell you who the other receivers are. And I follow football pretty well. Fantasy football and things like that. Besides Adam Thielen, which he's old, right? He had a great year, obviously. Oh, in his 30s, right? But you just don't have pieces around him, right? So just when you're looking at CJ Stroud and the kind of the pieces they have versus Carolina, and you can't blame Carolina too much other than the fact that they got rid of DJ Moore, right? DJ Moore was a really good receiver and they traded them
Well,
to
plus
him to the Bears.
CMC, they got rid of him last year. And rookie
Got rid of
quarterback, you're going to
CMC.
want running back, obviously. And then obviously everyone knows
Yeah.
CMC is probably the best running back in the league right now.
Yeah.
That simple.
Yeah. Right. And I understand that perspective of you kind of want to rebuild, right? So obviously they traded CMC. I'm okay with that in a sense just because, you probably get a lot out of him. He's in his prime. The value is there. You're probably not going to be good for a few years. But to get rid of DJ Moore, a receiver that really could have helped the development of Bryce Young, right?
Plus the
Anyways, I
coaching
I know we're
staff.
talking about the Texans. Yeah, and the coaching staff. I know. Sorry, I know. I kind of went on a rant, a tangent on,
Hey, man, we're giving
Carolina
other
versus
teams
Texans. But
some love
anyways,
anyway. And one of the
yeah, I'll give
Panthers,
them a little
why
love,
not?
giving the bottom of
Like,
the barrel.
they're not going to get that
Right.
much attention. They're not going to get any attention on national
Yeah.
media because the only
Yeah.
thing they got is like, oh, well, they fired Frank Wright. And that's
Right.
it. And it's like, that's all they talk about.
Yeah.
And then they move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to put it into perspective, right? I want our viewers to look at the Texans, and then look at the kind of pieces they have around, CJ Stroud, and look at the Panthers. But anyways, not to take anything away, Texans have been a really feel good story. They're exceeding expectations. Obviously, they want to make the playoffs, right? And that would be invaluable experience for Stroud. Let's say they make the playoffs, seventh seed, last seed, one and done. What you're giving is him playoff experience in his rookie year. And I cannot stress how important that is as a quarterback to have that type of experience. Because no matter what team you have, let's say CJ Stroud in 5 years, he makes the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, right? Amazing team. They went, 12-5. Texans are roaring, right? He has no playoff experience. And yes, every quarterback is different. Some thrive and some don't in their first game, but it's their first game. So for him to have that experience in the first year would really help his growth along the way. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that goes. Their progress, and yeah, let's kind of quickly look at who they're playing the final week. Oh, so it looks like they're playing the
Yep.
Colts, right? Colts is the final game of the season. They're both 9-7, right? One of them has to win. And if we're looking from the Texans' perspective, I almost want to say they're, win and they're in. Steven, I'm not sure if you have more information on that, but it seems like whoever wins that will get that playoff spot.
So yeah, they win.
Anyways. Oh, you got it? Okay.
The win, and they have a tie break over Pittsburgh.
Right.
Based on a head-to-head. So they should get in on. Dude, they might win the. They win the division? Hold on.
Yeah, sorry, viewers. We're just quickly looking. We want to give you guys up-to-date, accurate information. We just want to see what the outlook looks for the Texans right now.
So, Jacksonville. If Jacksonville loses next week, or this week coming up, and Houston wins, they would take the division, dude.
They would take the division. That's right.
Yeah.
That is 100% right. So they won't. So we're not talking about the 7th seed here. We're talking about
having a home
field
advantage for the playoffs.
Yeah, a home game. 3rd, 4th, 5th seed, whatever it is, maybe 4th or 5th. Anyways, you're having a home game. That would be huge. Yeah, and Jacksonville is, I believe, playing the Titans. So of course, right, but you can't take any team in the NFL for granted. So yeah, Texans, you win, you're in. You lose, it's a lot harder to get in. Maybe impossible.
Yeah.
So the fact that they control their destiny is I think crazy.
The Colts
right?
would would
crucial.
also, if they won, almost this game controls the division right here. If Jacksonville loses, because the Colts win, they're all tied up.
No, it absolutely does. They're both tied at 9-7. They're all three. The Jags, Colts, and Texans are all 9-7 right now. If the Jags win,
they get to keep the division because they have the division 4-1 right now in the division.
4-1.
So they would,
and that's how they go based on the tiebreakers.
So they would keep the division if they won, and then Houston won, and then maybe they get lucky to get in on a wild card. So there's still a chance if even Jacksonville wins, there's still a chance they can get into the playoffs, obviously through a wild card scenario. So, and then they would own the tiebreaker against the Pittsburgh. So if Pittsburgh won, let's say Pittsburgh wins, Houston wins, and the Jags win, it should be Jags and Houston going to the playoffs. So Houston would take the
Jags and Houston,
take the wild card though. So there's a good chance, man, that they make it in.
Yeah.
There's some good, decent odds. Obviously, Colts are going to want the Jags to lose, and then they win. They just creep in and swoop in with Gardner Minshew and go to the playoffs and get a home game. What the hell? I'm sure Pat McAfee will love that. They wouldn't do anything, honestly. Let's just be real. I think the Texans have a better chance. The Jags have weirdly been a better away team. I think a lot of people already know that. There's been a lot of coverage on the Jags this year because everyone's been watching Trevor Lawrence. So, them, for whatever reason, if they somehow, they wouldn't. If they lost, would the Jags still get in as? Let's say Houston wins. So that means the Colts lost, and let's say Jags lose too. Would the Jags go to wild card status?
Yeah, it's hard to say because the Broncos, the Bengals are 8-8. So we're kind of right now we're kind of getting
Yeah,
into a lot of
little
tiebreaker
tiebreaker
stuff.
bullshit.
So let's just say that the Jags lose. They're going to need help to get in. They
They
may
would
not
have
even
to
get in
hope
the
the
playoffs. The
Steelers. They
Jags
need the
lose.
Steelers to lose too.
Right. They need Steelers to
Yeah,
lose. Okay. So basically that's how it goes. It's hard to kind of dive into the exact tiebreakers, but bottom line, Jags, you win, you're in. Obviously, you control the division. You lose, you may not even make the playoffs. So that should tell you what they need to do.
yeah. So definitely, I think Houston's kind of. I don't know. They are playing with house money, but I don't know that rookie coach, rookie quarterback, dude. They're on cloud nine right now, dude. Like the world is theirs to take
Yeah.
right now, and they can
Right.
swoop in, take the division, get a home playoff game. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And like you said, like Andrew was saying earlier,
Yeah.
to pop off that first playoff experience, whether it's a win or a loss, it that it's huge. Just look at Mahomes, dude.
Excellent.
When he got his playoff games out the way, and not to say CJ is going to be
Yeah.
Mahomes. We all know he's the
Right.
best quarterback in the league. May not look like it because every team's a team, right? It's not just a one-man show. Obviously, you need some receivers that can catch, yada yada. Won't go into that. That's obviously covered by mainstream media very well, considering there's quite a few
Right.
mega and super biased fans because, Mahomes is a polarizing character, much like LeBron is. Hello,
Yeah.
Felix.
Oh, cat. This is
Oh,
Barry,
Barry,
guys. You guys get to see a lot of these cats now.
So I think that's a really. I'll be watching that game on Red Zone for sure to see what's going on with that with the Texans. I'll be looking out for them.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the next state of the NFL concerning the playoffs?
Um, can you say that again? So my next thoughts on what?
What's your next team that you look out for this next week?
Oh, okay. So we're looking at teams. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that we're kind of talking about teams that maybe don't get a lot of the recognition because a lot of teams, like we know, right then, mainstream, we hear the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, right, Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, right. So those are kind of the big teams that we hear a lot from. A team that's a dark horse, really, that I don't think anybody wants to play in the playoffs is the Browns. The Browns with Joe Flacco, their defense. So let's put this into perspective, right? Watson injured, basically, we won't get into it. Took himself out. Sounds like he's done for the year, obviously, right? So he's done. Their best positional player, Nick Chubb, gets hurt, right? He gets hurt, I don't know, first few games, whatever it was. So you're thinking, okay, our best running back is out, our quarterback is out. We're, you know, doing not going to do much. They're 11-5 right now, and they've had quality wins, right? Quality wins, I believe. Trying to look really quickly at the games they've played. Obviously, we've talked about they beat the Niners. They beat the Browns, or
They
the
beat
Browns beat the
themselves.
Browns. No, Browns. They beat themselves. They beat the Ravens 28-3. Like that is insane. Oh no, sorry, they lost 28-3. I meant they beat the Ravens 33-31.
Oh
My
yeah,
apologies. Last month. The most recent game.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
The
beat the
most recent game
Ravens
they beat
28
the
to
Ravens
3.
33-31. Um anyways, so they've beaten the Jags, right? So anyways, what I'm trying to say, Steelers, they have quality wins. Quality wins. They are not a team that, oh, you can look at their schedule and say, okay, they snuck by, they got some wins. They are surging at the right time. You know, they have the quality wins. They have a really good defense. Flacco is doing enough, right? More than enough to help kind of lead that offense, to propel that offense. And yeah, they got Amari Cooper too, a solid receiver. He's often looked at not necessarily as a wide receiver one. Maybe some Cooper fans will disagree, but high end wide receiver two, right? He's a high end wide receiver two. And of course, we can't forget solid tight end David Njoku, right? So solid players on offense. Then, of course, they got the defense, right? They got really great defensive players. Who's the big defensive guy? I'm blanking on his name for the Browns
Oh,
that I'm
Miles
thinking
Garrett.
of. I think pass rusher. Miles Garrett, right? So, anyways, amazing team. They're doing great. I don't think any team wants to play them right now in the playoffs. I think they can go out and they can beat anybody. I don't think the Ravens, I think the Ravens, they're happy to get that bye. I don't think they want to see them in the playoffs. A divisional game, right? Even as good as Lamar is playing, you don't want to see Cleveland. You don't want to see your divisional rivals there because anything can happen, right? So, yeah, Cleveland's kind of the team that I'm looking at as a dark horse. Obviously there's other teams that we could be talking about, but yeah, Cleveland. I don't think anybody with the injuries they had, anybody expected them to be where they're at today. And they, next to the Texans, are one of the biggest surprises, I think, of the NFL season.
Well,
Steven, what are
on
your
top of
thoughts?
that, it's like they're better without Deshaun Watson. It's like,
Oh,
what?
yeah. Who
That's
would
a
have
whole
thought?
nother topic, but just
Oh,
real quick,
whole nother topic.
like Andrew said, you may
Yeah.
never thought they'd be where they're at right now. So who knows
Yeah, four
where
game
his
winning
status
streak.
is next year, right?
So,
We'll get to that when we get to that. But with them having Joe Flacco, and then Flacco, wasn't he on the Jets last year, right? Dude,
yeah,
that
he was
just
on the
goes to
Jets
show
last year.
who's the coach? Stefanski? Is that right? So,
Yeah, I believe so.
Steph,
Yep. Kevin
yeah,
Stefanski is the name, I want to say.
Stefanski
Yeah.
is brilliant. Like, it just goes to
Yeah.
show it's exactly what you need to be doing as an offensive coordinator. Any type of coordinator, defensive, offensive, you
Right.
need to be playing to your players' strengths. And that guy knows Flacco is more or less a statue, but I've seen him actually roll out a little bit and throw it away and stuff like that. So that's pretty good considering he's on the older side, obviously. And Stefanski drawing up how it needs to be done, dude. Like, for the strengths of his quarterback. Big arm, give him time, make those throws down the sideline. Typical Flacco shit like that. It's fucking pretty good. And
Yeah.
it's funny because, I mean, the Jets had him last year, and he looked nothing like this.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that the
Right.
coordinators need to listen to their players. They have meetings like, hey, what do you like? What play style do you like?
Right.
What do you want to see a lot of? Like, I feel like it's not that hard. Not to say that some of these coaches are giving the player exactly what they want, and then the player still can't execute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he doesn't have enough time to
Right.
execute because maybe the O line's a rushing specialist O line, right? Or whatever. There's different variables, yada yada. But it's the whole point of the coordinator to you're essentially the chef, right? You have whatever ingredients you've been given. Make the
Mm-hmm.
best meal you can make out of it. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah.
And if the best one is like, damn, we're fucking, barely 500. Well, whatever. At least you're making the best of what you got, right? And it shows that Stefanski is actually
Yeah.
way more creative than who was the
Yeah.
coordinator last year for the Jets? Do you remember? Because Hackett just came in this
The
year.
offensive
Hackett
coordinator.
just came in this year because he was the coach of the
Yeah.
Broncos.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me get back to
because
you on that
some
really quick.
people.
Mike LaFleur.
Oh, okay, so LaFleur's brother.
So
That's right. So that's
yeah.
LaFleur's brother.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of these guys are way more creative how they essentially chef up what ingredients they got, right? And it shows.
Right.
Stefanski, Shanahan, Sean Payton, And then you see like someone like Hackett. I think, not to say he's a bad coordinator, I'm just saying that there's some guys that are just stuck in their ways. Like they only know they're going to go with what they know, right? They're not going to adjust too much. You're seeing a lot of Green Bay-ish stuff. Like they don't run as often as they probably should with the quarterbacks they have in the Jets. They should be running all the time. It should be run heavy over there right now, especially when you can't trust the quarterbacks or balls are getting tipped, yada yada. Like that helps build confidence too on the quarterback side. So all I'm trying to say is Stefanski doing a hell of a job. And then he's even giving talk to Flacco being the comeback player of the year. Like, holy shit. Like, what the hell? Yeah,
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
And I don't know. I don't know who's in the running for coach of the year, but I mean, Stefanski should be one of them for sure.
Stefanski is one of them. We can even put the Texans coach up there. D'Amico Ryans. And we're probably forgetting someone pretty obvious here.
I mean, the Colts have,
obviously
he's been coaching his ass off too.
Right. I think Mike McDaniels was a pretty big candidate. Yeah. Unfortunately, they kind of slipped. Lost a couple of their games, but he's kind of really, built that program up with Miami. I think that's pretty good. Obviously, Harbaugh, right? John Harbaugh, not Jim. John Harbaugh. He's, So, yeah, those are kind of the guys. I think, I think the Eagles kind of, with their recent struggles, I don't think, what's his name? Sirianni is not in the running anymore. So, I think you're really looking probably at the Niners, the Ravens, Miami, Cleveland, and you could probably throw the Texans coach in there too, D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny with him because rookie quarterback, rookie coach.
Oh, sorry, we're missing a huge one, Steven. And I apologize to the Detroit fans out there.
Dan Campbell.
But the Detroit Lions head coach, Dan Campbell. Sorry, Detroit. You guys
always
keep getting screwed over. Definitely. Yeah, he's a top one. He's I can't believe he's top 3 for me. Top 3 for me.
Yeah, Campbell. Before we get into the state of the NFL when it comes to refereeing, we will get there.
Oh man.
We'll go over one last team here. Let's see here. Who's another team? I mean, obviously, man, the Seahawks are another good one right now with Pete Carroll. And then they just dropped.
How about the Rams? What's your thoughts on the Rams? I know we touched on them a little bit when we were talking about LA. Man. They are. And you know what?
Coaching his ass off. Stafford,
dude, he is great. A genius. Right. And we have to think and put this into perspective. They got rid of a lot of their veterans, right? Odell, Jalen Ramsey, a couple other guys that I'm kind of blanking on right now. But, of course, they still have Aaron Donald, right? Cooper Kupp. But even so, like, Cooper Kupp was hurt, right? They had this guy, Puka Nacua, a rookie receiver, kind of leading the charge. He's been amazing. Kyron Williams, I believe an undrafted rookie running back. I don't want to say maybe 5th round. Anyways, I think 5th round. Sorry, guys. Crazy, right? Crazy what McVay has been able to do with that offense. And of course, when you got Aaron Donald on defense, right? You have a lot to build on. But man, for them kind of to be where they're at now, even though they're just 9-7, I think they're definitely a team that's exceeded expectations, giving the amount of talent they lost and probably the lack of draft capital that they have, because like you said, they kind of bought a Super Bowl, right? They made a lot of trades, gave away first rounders, and rightfully so. Hey, you want it, right? So Steven, what's your thoughts?
Dude, well, before I start my thoughts, I'll have to reset my camera. We've definitely gone over an hour. I've reset this thing 3 times, I think.
We're an hour 40
I've secretly reset it twice.
We're an hour 40.
I can only record up to. I got 20 seconds on my stopwatch right now. So let me
Oh
go.
well. All right, yeah. So yeah, we'll hear from we'll hear from Steven's thoughts on that, but I just think that, for the Rams to be in the position that they're in is incredible, right? They've definitely exceeded expectations given like where kind of how their team has kind of been gutted, but I could be a little biased too because I've had a couple of their fantasy players like Kyron Williams. He's been amazing for me on a side note, but yeah, honestly, what a turnaround! And just another side note, Sean McVay was almost thinking of stepping down as the coach last year in the offseason. I think he saw the writing on the wall. We won the Super Bowl. Stafford is up there in age. Cooper Cup is up there in age. Aaron Donald is retiring soon. I think, he has a kid on the way, right? He had his newborn, I want to say a month or two ago. And yeah, I mean, he's credit to him sticking with it, even though he probably thought that they weren't going to be the Rams of a few years ago, right, when they were beating Tom Brady and then right beating the Bengals in the Super Bowl. But yeah, credit to him and that coaching staff for getting to where they are today.
Dude.
All right, Steven, you're on.
And then they might be the
And I will
Niners
actually be right back
coming up just
to
because of
Pete.
all the resting that's going on in the league and the Niners clinching the first seed. So they can end up ending at 10-7 when it's all said and done. So what Sean McVay has done with this team is pretty amazing. And you can probably hear Andrew right now. He's currently peeing right now. But then again, he has AirPods in, so you guys can't hear that actually. So I just narked on him right now. So, so anyway, if you can hear what I'm hearing right now, guys, I'm hearing droplets go in the toilet right now. That's what's going on. It's making it very hard to actually go and talk about Sean McVay and how good the Rams are, as much as I don't want them to be good because they're in my division. But anyway, them doing great, and they played the Giants last week, and they overcame, the turnovers. They played the Giants, so you can get away with that. And with them being able to beat them and beat teams that they need to beat, that's what you need to do. And then with Sean McVay sticking around, and this guy does not want to be part of a rebuild. You can just tell, right? You can see it in his face, especially the start of the season. He's like, man, I'm just here. I guess I'll just stick it out for another season. Yada, yada. And like Andrew said, what Matthew Stafford did not want to restructure his contract. So thereby, Andrew's blowing his nose in my ear right now. But with him not wanting to restructure his contract, kind of had the writing on the wall, well, how are we supposed to get other people in here for agents, right? If this guy's not going to restart the contract because he knows I'm trying to get rid of him, essentially, right? Even though they had this honeymoon and yada yada from Mexico, blah blah blah, and obviously led to a championship, which that's the goal. Whatever it takes to get the chip, right? So for them to do whatever it takes and sell off all the picks in order to get the team to where, obviously win the chip, but then deal with the aftermath and the destruction of getting rid of all these picks. We don't care about these picks. Fuck these picks. That's essentially what they're saying the entire time on the way to the chip. And then now they're dealing with aftermath, but shit, they're dealing with it great, like in stride. Yes, the defense may not be the greatest, what it was, but they're able to beat teams that they're supposed to beat. So Sean McVay, he won't get Coach of the Year, but he should definitely be up there for candidate. That's definitely a dark horse team. They're going to make it. The NFC West plan having 3 teams make the playoffs with the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks. So once again, showing that it's a relatively strong division. Not to say that the you know, the Niners finally have the Seahawks number, right? Now that Russell Wilson's no longer there. He doesn't have his superpowers with Pete Carroll. Because those two together, Legion of
We
Boom,
lost the Legion of
and then
Boom, right? Richard Sherman,
exactly,
Earl
and then
Thomas, all
how
those
the
guys.
league's been ref now. It's even more offensive, right? And it's only going to keep going. It's just like inflation in our economy, right? We're going to constantly be getting inflation, so the league's going to constantly be more and more and more skewed towards the offense. So the days of like a defense like that, I think we keep saying that every 5 years, and then a defense keep popping up and being super physical. They like get away with it, right, in the playoffs. That's when you can get away with
Hmm.
it. But
Right.
it's becoming less and less often, which is why quarterbacks are drafted so high coming out of college when they should not be drafted that high. But not gonna go down that one. Uh, to come back around for the Rams to be in it and for in a division as tough as they're in, dude, they might walk away at 10-7 and beat the Niners this week just because of rest, like I said earlier. Um, and the Niners is playing. They should just play Sam Darnold, honestly. Get him reps, especially right before playoffs. You're going to want your second string to get a lot of good quality reps. And the Rams are going to want this game too. So that was a good pick, Andrew.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Steven. I thought we should give them some love. I don't think anyone thought they were going to be that great this year, and you kind of touched on it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty good on the side of playoff teams. Kind of like we're looking at the wild card teams and surprise teams, which that I think they deserve some love, right? So yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about them. Team we didn't talk about, but I think it's a perfect kind of segment into our last topic of the night is the Detroit Lions, and specifically with the Detroit Lions, the controversy, which is the 2 point conversion that was called back, and it was a game winning 2 point conversion. It was called back due to the lineman apparently, right? Or what's the word I'm looking for
He didn't
here?
check in.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Apparently,
apparently
allegedly
not,
not checking
huh?
in.
Allegedly, I think that, yeah, allegedly not checking in as a eligible receiver, and this was against the. Why am I blanking on who they're playing? Cowboys, right? Cowboys. Sorry, Cowboys. Huge game, right? Let's take a step back for a second, and obviously, I'll go back. I'll talk a little bit more about the refs, and so will Steven, but let's look at the implications of this game really quickly. Really quickly. The Lions had a chance to be 12-4. And why is that relevant? Because the Niners are 12-4. So if the Lions were 12-4, they actually had a chance, right? They had a chance to actually be the first seed in the NFC. And of course, why is that important? We know that the first seed in each conference gets a bye week. And that was huge. I mean, just of course, there's no guarantee the Niners still could have that locked up. But anyways, just the what ifs is mind-boggling, and they worked so hard to get to where they were. And I'm not trying to say oh, give them pity. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying get the call right. Get it right, refs. Come on, like there is no way that you botched that as the referee crew without some shady things going on. Let's call it what it is. Shady things going on. And I think Stephen may agree or may not agree, but I've kind of I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of these referees, man, they some of these calls, right, it just doesn't add up, right? And these guys, I know as a referee, it's hard to referee. And of course, I don't have that experience at the highest level, which is probably 10 times harder, right? But to be in the position you are on the highest stage of the NFL and to get a call like that wrong, and not a call that what I would say, Steven, is a bang bang, like, oh, was his toe inbounds out of bounds? It was more so something technical, like, oh, I'm checking in as an eligible receiver, in which, the footage shows that's exactly what happened. So, I'm not going to say that, they had money or they're doing whatever, but you can't get that wrong. Or at least if you do, you have to confer with your fellow referees and say, hey, like, this is what I saw. This is what should happen or whatever. Because not only did you get a call wrong, but you cost a national football team, not saying maybe the Cowboys would have threw a Hail Mary for a touchdown, but anyways, a chance for a team to win, like the Lions that have been surging. Dan Campbell has been blood, sweat, and tears fighting for that team. Blood, sweat, and tears. He's actually my coach of the year. And for it to go out like that is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's just, actually, a little side note here. I know, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, Steven. I'll let you get your point across. David, David, my friend, he came up with a really good point, and it is, and you can tell me your thoughts on this, Steven. Do we need to mic up the refs? Mic up the refs, hear what they're saying, right? Is that going to help maybe? Because I feel like as fans, we need that transparency, right? And that's fine if the NFL wants to, I don't know, like if the mic, being mic'd up, if the NFL kind of wants to police that, or if you will, fine. But I think there needs to be some accountability, right? I mean, the NFL basically said, "Oh, you guys, they downgraded the officiating crew. They're not going to, referee in the playoffs." Okay, so NFL is using a scapegoat to kind of say, "Oh yeah, it's the refs, not us." But I don't know. I just think there's a lot more to it. Obviously, we don't know all the details of what happened. It's just, as a sports fan, at the end of the day, you want to see the game called right. You want the players to decide the game. And I'm not talking about what Mahomes said with the player, because he was offsides. That was the correct call. There's no doubt about that one. We saw he was lined up offsides, and it is what it is. Chiefs can't get all their calls, anyways. But this is much different. This is so outrageous that it just leaves a lot to be desired on what improvement can the NFL or just referees in general, where can we find some common ground, right? I know it's hard to ref, right? I know it.
Yeah, that's both of us.
I've experienced refereeing. It's not easy. It's yeah, both of us have. It's not easy. We got coaches yelling at us. We got
We've got
fans yelling
parents
at us,
chasing
right?
us
We're trying to
down
do our
up and down
job
the
to the
field.
best we can.
That's great.
Chasing, right. Right. It's not easy. And I'm not trying to say, refs are terrible or whatever, because I know what it's like, but there needs to be more transparency and there needs to be more accountability, right? I think when a player he plays bad, right? He doesn't live up to his contract, he gets cut, right? I'm not saying referees necessarily maybe need to get cut, maybe they do, but there needs to be more accountability, more discipline, more something, and then right, and then we try to, how do we improve, right? Referee made a mistake, how can we make sure that doesn't happen? Anyways, long tangent. Steven, I'll let you get your thoughts out, and then we'll probably wrap it up. But tell me your thoughts, like, because this is, it was a really big
All
play. It
right,
was a
so
really big
a
play.
lot to unpack here. Definitely. Uh,
Yeah.
Concerning the Lions. So, just as an NFL fan, as a Lions, if you're a Lions fan, that's infuriating. You're just like, what the fuck? As an NFL fan,
Oh, I can't
it's
imagine.
kind of probably not on the same level as a Lions fan, but it's still the same infuriating bullshit fucking
Right.
call, because you know what that means? That could happen to my team. That could happen to Andrew's team. It could happen to any of our teams, right? We just want good fair called football. So, and then, us being a ref in the past, it's like you set the standard from the get-go, from the beginning, and that's how the whole game's going to be reffed. So maybe you set the standard like, okay, it's going to be a hard-fought game. I'm going to hold my whistle. I'm going to let them play. And that's how the whole game's going to be. Or I want a super clean, super tight game. I'm going to make tons of calls. But it comes from the beginning of the game. It doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? And then with this specific, it's super strange and confusing and infuriating, and it sparks controversy along with conspiracy, right? Because everyone has stated that they've been informed from the beginning, before the game was started, that there was going to be a trick play. The refs are informed of this. So there's no confusion when the game happens, because you don't want to tip off the opponent. So obviously you're going to send 3 linemen up there and be like, oh, hello, ref, blah, blah, blah. It's an act. But the whole point is they were told from the get-go,
right,
like from the very beginning. And then obviously the argument against that was like, well, they're confused. There's 3 of them coming up here. I was like, motherfucker, I told you at the beginning of the game. I told you before the game. I talked about what trick play is going to be and that possibly we're going to use it. Look out for it. And the other devil's advocate against it is that, oh, well, 70's been checking in all day, so I just assumed it was him again. It's like, well, you knew from before the game started that eventually another person is going to check in, and they're going to do that play, whether it works or not, right? Yeah. I was thinking that they could have done the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, let's do a little replay. Yeah, oh, shit, he did come up to me. You know what? Let's pull this flag. Oh, yeah, they did tell me about this trick play before the play, before the game. Oh, yeah, that's right. All that can happen is head in a matter of 30 seconds during a review, because it is a scoring review, right? They have to review all the scores, so it gives them a little bit of time to be like, oh, shit, okay, I'm human. I fucked up. Obviously, not going to say that, right? Because you have that chance of being like, oh, he did check in. Apologize, pull the flag. Done deal. No one ever talks about this. People, maybe the Lions win, right? There is some time on the clock after. So there's a chance that the Cowboys could have came back still. But the point is, no one would be talking about this. Like, they're talking about this more. The NFL doesn't want that. They don't want you talking about conspiracy, bets against the game, yada yada, and the refs and this and that. And then everyone already talks about how they should be full-time employees, because possibly we wouldn't have to deal with this, right? If they're full-time employees, but they're going to be compensated fairly well, right? Because you are in the number 1 league in America. That should be able to pay you handsomely, right? And you should be a full-time employee, and thereby, if you're paid handsomely, that you're not going to be taking bribes to sway a game one way or the other, or taking bets yourself, right?
Steven, just to add to that, if I heard right, just to add to you, can you hear me all right? The NFL referees are not full-time, right? Like, they are contractors, I want to say. I read something. The NFL is the only league where the refs are not, whatever,
they're part-time,
on full salaries or whatever it is.
I mean, a lot of them are lawyers, and they have other jobs, right? This is like hobby for them, which is even more like, oh, God. Yeah. They do have a union.
Insane.
But they're not full-time. So the NFL is going to have to rectify this in the offseason, considering, like, even, my AirPods are dying. That's going to be, I think yours just died too.
Yeah, mine died too. I have one in. I'm charging one, and then, you do one and one.
So I'm finding my AirPod charger somewhere. Well, that's what's great about video. You guys get to see all the problems firsthand, right? Anyway, I guess I'll just let it die. So I have one in. Anyway, yes, they are part-time. they need to be full time. Hopefully, they rectify in the off season, because the owners, whether there's fixed stuff or not, happens in the background, they don't want any of this news. This is all bad, bad look, right?
Yeah, it's a bad look on the
So,
NFL. I
and they're
totally
in the
agree.
middle of trying to grow the league, and they don't want to deal with anything like FIFA dealt with, right? I'm not going to go into that rabbit hole with all bets and all that, and fraud and
Right.
corruption, yada yada. Because they're building.
Yeah.
They want to go to Brazil. They want to go to Mexico. They want to go definitely into Europe, right? UK, Germany, all that. What's up? Okay. So Andrew's currently resetting his video. He's going to start up again, much like myself, except mine only goes up to like 28 minutes. He gets 2 hours. So we just hit the 2 hour mark right now, guys. And he's currently going to go ahead and reset that. But I'll continue talking, and then he'll check in when he checks it again. And obviously, I can hear Andrew still because we are FaceTiming at the same time. So if he does chime in, I can always repeat what he says. But continuing on with the whole Lions thing, it puts a huge magnifying glass, because if anything, like, nothing can happen going forward now. Nothing can go wrong, even if it's a human error, going to the playoffs and finishing the Super Bowl. They're going to have to finish strong as refs, and the NFL, right? The NFL is going to have to finish strong with the refs, because they don't want this coming back to bite them in the ass and be like, hey, look at the history. Look at this game. They had history. They showed a video of the guy checking in. They had the coaches talking about the pregame, them talking about the play that they're going to check in, yada, yada. And they also don't want the players and coaches, essentially, they already get in the ref's face, right? Now it's going to be more exaggerated. They're like, hey, motherfucker, I'm going to grab you by the collar. I am checking in. Do you understand that? I am checking in. And you're not going to want that, because it also brings in the human element. Us being refs, we know, like, just that little bit, right? It's just a little bit like, okay, motherfucker, you're telling me I'm the fucking ref. You know what I mean? That's the last thing you want, is to add even more human element and more influence when it shouldn't have to get to that point in the first place. So if the NFL does not want to make these guys full-time, they're gambling that the rest of the season, which is one more game, but plus the playoffs, everything goes smooth when it comes to officiating. There's no other way around it. They're going to have to, if they don't want to make these guys full-time and then it's popping up again. The thing is, if this happens again next season, this topic is going to come right back up again. So the owners are just going to have to bite the bullet. They're looking at expanding. They're looking at making more money. You may as well get ahead of the thing. Well, you're actually behind it. You've already been behind it. You might as well finally catch up and make these guys full-time. Andrew's still currently trying to connect here, looks like. It's not working over there. So I see. All right, so Andrew just told me that he's currently trying to save his video. So hopefully 2 hours doesn't go down the drain. And either way, I'm going to still have to try to parse my videos in. And I'm coming up at 1 minute right now. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do a mini reset myself. But at least it only takes like 10 seconds, if not less, to do that. But that's what I think. And what should happen is that the NFL needs to finally catch up with the times. Number one league in the game. The last thing you need is something like the stigma of the NBA, right? Where like, oh, okay, it's fixed. Oh, okay, they're doing a bunch of calls. Oh, okay, they're changing the game last second. Everybody already knows about the NBA. Like, oh, they're running away with this game. Oh, now they're calling a bunch of fouls for their game to make it competitive. Okay, blah, blah. Then now with sports betting, it's become even more exaggerated, right? More of a magnifying glass, even though it's always been happening. It doesn't help that one ref came out and essentially
Okay,
told,
I am back.
oh, perfect.
Sorry, guys, I am
Andrew
back.
is back. So, real quick to finish up with that, the comparison to the NBA, the NFL doesn't want that. They're number one. They want to stay number one, and they don't want that ugly stigma that NBA has right now. And the NBA they haven't gotten any closer. It hasn't gotten worse, but it hasn't gotten any better. What people just thinking and knowing or believing, especially with that guy releasing a book years ago, like that they have fixed games, right? Or at least they try to, right? Unless a team's just killing another one, that's how you win. So I doubt the NBA or I doubt the NFL wants to go that route. And they're usually pretty good. They're not proactive. They're very reactive. So a lot of eyes on this with the Lions will probably force their hand in the offseason. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they are reactive, and I mean, shoot, no better time to fix it than now after this latest controversy. Something I want to add really quick. I know we've touched on this topic quite a bit, between the two of us. Do you remember the lockdown or the lockout of the refs? They couldn't come to an agreement, between the NFL and the refs, the union strike, whatever it was. Do you guys remember that Seattle and Green Bay game?
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, referees called the Hail Mary. Seattle scored a TD touchdown, and they didn't. I mean, it was intercepted, right? There you go. I mean, if you can kind of, if nothing else, let that give you a taste of what bad officiating looks like, right? And of course, those, hard to blame those guys. I think they were college refs or people trying to fill in best they can. But the point I'm trying to make is when you see how it looks, when when refs are not on their A game, the quality you get from an NFL game goes down dramatically, right? And the point I'm just trying to make is like you need referees, right? You can't do it without referees. You just need it to be done the right way. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
leave it at
quality.
that. I think we touched a lot about it, but I think that kind of sums up a little bit about you know just kind of the controversy around it, and maybe we both kind of talked about improvements or what the direction the NFL should go in. Um, Yeah, Steven, that's good. What are we looking at? Is it time to close off?
Yeah, I think it's ready to close off. It's going to be difficult to parse this whole thing together. At least yours will be easier. It's just two parts, real quick.
Yeah,
Why not? I don't know. I might have to find a new way. We'll see.
we'll figure it
I might
out.
go to the iPhone. Might have to go to the iPhone style. We could both go to the iPhone style, honestly,
Uh,
and make it way easy, maybe.
we'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, it's been great. I'm glad we're back. We'll have to continue. We'll have to make it consistent. Obviously, we already talked about that. We're looking at hopefully
I think
once a
just like
week.
the referees, you guys want consistency. So we can't just talk about refs and not be consistent. So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
definitely go
yeah,
for consistency.
yeah. Make it consistent. So thanks for tuning in. For those tuned in, who knows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we'll be on YouTube now, finally.
Finally.
So that'd be awesome. And then you guys can always leave comments. We'll go ahead and try to answer comments or hater stuff or congratulations or whatever. I don't care. Put whatever on there. Shit, we'll see what happens.
Sounds good to me.
All right, dude. This guy, that guy, John and Eric, Steven and
Steven
Andrew,
and
Andrew
Andrew.
and Steven,
Yep.
Andrew.
Stevie B.
We're back.
We are back and we are signing out. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. This guy, that guy. Later.